Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Julianne and this is my series in which I attempt to read every single book that I own. It's a long series. This is month 33, so if you want to watch any of my past videos to find out more about the project, the rules, I do encourage you to do so, but obviously that's quite a lot of videos, so if you don't want to, fair enough. Feel free to ask me any questions you have about the project so far in the comments and I will do my best to answer them. So it is month 33, March 2026, and it is the 9th, Monday the 9th, and I'm here after work to let you know where I'm at the moment. So I'm not going to talk very much about what I'm currently reading because all the books that I was currently reading at the end of last month I am still currently reading. Maybe do watch that video if you want to hear more about those. But I will tell you about the books that I have read recently when I can find Goodreads, which I opened on my phone and has closed itself. Don't you love it when apps close themselves? Okay, so the first book that I finished this month was actually a TBR book, off to a great start. It was Nevertell by Katharine Orton. This is a proof copy that I got from the publisher Walker Books a long time ago. It says that it came out in 2019, so that is not as old as some of the books I've got on my TBR, but it's still been there quite a while. But yeah. Anyway, this is a middle grade book about a girl born in a Soviet prison camp who escapes with her best friend and a kind of group of older boys and men. They have this whole plan. They're going to go out into the wilderness and survive long enough to get to Moscow. But they quickly run into some problems when a sorceress appears and attacks them with her pack of wolves. However, the wolves are not interested in attacking Lena, and she manages to also protect her best friend. And then a whole kind of magical mystery begins to unravel. I really enjoyed this. I loved the snowy atmosphere, the kind of desolate, difficult journey that they have to set out on. I loved how realistic it was about the cold and the hunger and all of those elements to it, but it was also just really fun and magical, and I felt it was just a really captivating story and I enjoyed it a lot. Definitely one I would recommend if you have someone who loves middle grade books in your life, or a actual kid even to buy them for. So yeah, thank you very much Walker for sending me that book many years ago. I'm getting to these proofs eventually. At some point in the future I won't feel guilty about occasionally getting a new one. Nowadays I tend to get ebooks, which is not quite as fun, but yeah, and yeah, I'm currently on a NetGalley ban, so not getting any fruit there. Unfortunately, since then I have read rule books even though I have not earned them because they were due back at the library. Yeah, it's just the way that things worked out. I thought that I had balanced it out really well between reward books and library books that I was going to listen on audiobook, but it did not work out. I'm hoping once I get to the end of this kind of current crop that I'll be able to put a little pause on the reward books for audiobooks and spend my sort of like moving around in house time listening to podcasts and YouTube instead for a bit whilst I catch up, because I've got loads of print library books to read. So yeah, I need to save those reward books for something else. But hey, at the moment I'm still on the backlog. I've got a couple left and then it'll be fine. But anyway, so the first of those library audiobooks that I listened to was Station Zero by Reeve, which is the third in the Railhead trilogy. I loved this series so much and this ending was just fantastic. Seriously, I love these books. Space, trains in space. That really should be all you need to know, but oh my god, the imagination, the clarity of the world building, it's just like absolutely the perfect balance between amazing, inspiring, all-consuming like levels of detail about the world where it feels real, where it feels compelling, but also not giving you so much information that you're overwhelmed. It's just absolutely perfect the way that all of the information about the world is kind of drip fed into the story through the characters. masterclass in writing that kind of fantasy / sci-fi. I mean, it's set in space in a kind of future world, so I guess it's sci-fi, but it's just like so completely different from our world that I think it has that kind of fantastical element. So if you're not really a sci-fi person, then I think you would really enjoy this regardless, because it's more of a sort of like world that's created rather than kind of lots of scientific detail. There's almost none of that. It's just kind of hand waved, and just here's a lot of fun inventions and creations and things. Then I listened to Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, which I believe means I have now listened to every single Emily Henry adult book. I have not read her YA books, but I have read all of her adult books now, and yeah, I feel like this one was right in the middle for me. Like, I didn't love it as much as Book Lovers or Beach Read or Funny Story, but I probably preferred it more than the Second Chance ones. That's People We Meet on Vacation / You and Me on Vacation, depending on where you live, what title it was published under, and oh, what's the other one? Oh, Happy Place, that's it, yeah. So Happy Place and Vacation are sort of like my bottom ones. I've realised recently that I'm not really a big fan of second chance romance. Like, I just really like seeing people falling in love for the first time. I think second chance romance is really kind of difficult to pull off. I have read some really great ones, but I feel like often there is just like a lack of depth to it, and a lot of stuff is sort of just presumed, and we get sort of memories and nostalgia rather than seeing things happen in the present. So it's just not to my taste, I think. So that is why my deep analysis of my preferences about Emily Henry and other romance books. Yeah, there we go. And then yesterday I finished listening to Mrs. S by Kay Patrick, which is a sort of very kind of slow burn story about a Australian woman working at a like boarding school in England. And she's sort of like a matron. So my understanding is like there's like a house mistress who is like the most senior like member of staff, who has like pastoral care responsibilities for the students who are boarding. And then there's like matrons, which are like sort of below that. Like the house mistress is like the supervisor, and the matrons are below that. Anyway, like she yeah, it's sort of in this very like kind of like, from what we understand, like the main the narrator never like has a name. I don't think anybody in this story has a name, apart from Mrs. S and Mr. S, and we don't hear their first names at all, like the rest of their names. They're all sort of like very kind of job title focused otherwise. So like the house mistress and the teachers. Yeah, do some of the teachers have names? No, I think there's just like the history teacher and the art teacher. Yeah, I don't think anybody has names apart from Mr. S and Mrs. S. Anyway, she's gone to this boarding school. It's this really like atmosphere of her feeling like an outsider, but it also just being such an unusual type of place that anybody who's not from that world would feel like an outsider. And she, at the start, kind of develops feelings for Mrs. S, the headmaster's wife, and then they end up kind of embarking on an affair. The way it was written was really interesting because you don't get a lot of information about anybody. And so the little bits of information that you get are very memorable and sort of stick out in your head, and you start to sort of piece together things about the protagonist and her vulnerability and her kind of self-esteem and self-valuing issues, and kind of her complicated relationship with gender. And then yeah, it was a really interesting book. It's actually the book club read for my book club after the next one. So we'd planned out the next 2 books, and I'd put a hold in at the library on both, and this one came up first, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get it out of the way. So I have actually got the other one to listen to as well, which is actually I have to listen to it this month, so that is up on my plate after I finish reading what am I currently listening to, My Vampire Plus One. So yeah, that is a good segue. Yeah, but yeah, Mrs. S, I enjoyed. I thought it was a really thoughtful novel, and I am very much looking forward to digging into it with the book club. I think it'll be a really, really great one to see what everybody else thinks about. Yes, I think I finished that sentence correctly, but who knows? On to My Vampire Plus One, which I'm currently listening to. This is the second in the My Vampire series, which is a romance series. The first one is My Roommate as a Vampire, which I absolutely adored. I picked it up because I'd heard of it. Like, I'd seen it on the library, on the Libby app, and I'd heard of it. I'd seen it on the Libby app, and I saw someone put it in a box outside their house to give away. And then I thought, yeah, I'm just going to leave that. I'll pick it up from the library at some point. I got home, and then literally as I was looking through Instagram stories later on, like, somebody said that they really enjoyed it. So I was like, oh, I regret not picking it up. But then the next day I walked past the same way, and that box was still there, and I thought, I'm going to have a look. And I was on the other side of the road, so I crossed the road to look in the box again, and the book was still there. So I got it, and I really, really enjoyed it. It's so much fun. And My Vampire Plus One is also proving to be a lot of fun as well. I love how the author, Jenna Levine, has written the most, like, quirky love interests. Like, a lot of the time, love interests in romance books can be a bit generic men, but I think because they're vampires, she just must feel so much more freedom to make them, like, weird, because they are so weird. They are not like your typical, like, romantic hero at all. Like, they've got elements of that, obviously, because, like, the protagonist needs to kind of feel that way about them, but also super weird. I love it. Like, a lot of people are just super weird, and we should explore that more in books. So there we go, that's where I'm at now. Yeah, there is another one in the series after this, Road Trip of a Vampire. I don't know if she's going to keep writing them after that, but yeah, I don't know. I'm up for it, but we'll see. We'll see. So there we go, that's my update for today. I am now going to go get some food because I am super hungry and getting a bit of a headache. Might listen to some more My Vampire Plus One. Otherwise, I might read a print book actually for a bit, because yeah, probably the best option for when I've got a headache. But hopefully I will be updating you again soon. Hello, I'm back, successfully actually vlogging. It is the 17th of March. March feels like such a long month after February, but this is just as well because I am tantalisingly close to being done with the current 50 books. And I'm going to do a rule change after this, and so I am, yeah, I'm hopeful that there is enough time left in March for me to be able to finish that last 50 books, but I really have to, like, crack on and read a lot of books, a lot. But it's okay, it's going well. So since my last update, I finished My Vampire Plus One as described. I adored it. It was so much fun. I'm looking forward to reading the third in the series whenever my library deigns to purchase the audiobook. I will be there. I will be there. I click the notify me button. I'm just crossing my fingers that they get around to it sometime soon. I also finished Ace of Spades, which I have had this copy for several years. I can't remember how I got it. Can't remember whether I bought it, found it, was given it, whatever. I don't... maybe it was like in... it might have been in... like, what time did this... when did this come out? I have a theory. I've got a theory. 2021. Okay, that's too late for me to have got it from a publisher. Okay, this, yeah, came out in 2021. Did I buy it? Did I acquire it another way? I'm not sure. This is essentially a sort of like dark academia kind of vibes book, although it's not really about the academics in the way that like dark academia typically is. It's more about like the social aspect of a school for very privileged teenagers. Yeah, it's hard to say anything about it that might run into spoiling it, but it is very sort of like thrillery, and the pervading sense of dread that builds in the atmosphere of this book is a lot. I had to go into this when I was feeling strong because I didn't want it to be like another Noughts and Crosses where I found it emotionally devastating. So yeah, yeah, this is definitely one to go into when you're in the right frame of mind for tough subjects. This I listened to as an audiobook and I really enjoyed the narrators, although I found that one of them I could listen to on a much higher speed than the other. Like I could listen to that one like at like 2.8, whereas the other one I could only listen to on 2 times. I have got faster at listening to audiobooks, I have to say. Like I am now pushing like 3 times speed on some occasions. Like I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Listening to a lot of stuff on 2.5 at the moment, which is very gratifying because I get through it really quickly. But then I read in print copy, an actual print book. Sound effects may vary. This is by Julie Murphy, who also wrote Dumpling. This is actually her debut novel. This is about a girl who had leukemia, but now it's in remission. And she had not planned for this. She had not expected to live. And so she did some things that were with the mindset of her not having to face the consequences. And it's also about her best friend Harvey, who is in love with her and has been at her side through all of the things that she did, good and bad, and is now kind of really happy that she gets to live, but struggling with what she's going through and the mental adjustment that she's having to make. Alice, the protagonist who had leukemia, is very much a unlikable character. If you like unlikable teenage characters, I think this is definitely one you should pick up. I love them. So I was delighted to find one here and I really enjoyed it. It's very I think someone described it to me as spiky, and I would say this is absolutely the word for it. There are a lot of ex-friends and enemies and people who feel betrayed by other people in this book, and yeah, if you are intrigued by that kind of drama and sort of the mental processes behind it and kind of the life adjustment that needs to happen, then yeah, definitely recommend. Really, really enjoyed that. Then I finished, and this was another TBR book that I listened to the audiobook of, Fates and Furies by Lauren Groff. So this is my second Lauren Groff. I previously read Matrix, which I really, really enjoyed, which is a story about nuns. This is a very different kind of story. It's much more contemporary. It's about marriage, essentially, husband and wife. The husband becomes a famous playwright after being an actor for a while, and the wife sort of supports him through it. They met at university and he basically fell in love at first sight. They got married within like days of meeting each other, and this sort of tells a story from his perspective and then her perspective, and all of the sort of assumptions they made about each other and the secrets that they kept from each other. It's a very interesting read. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought listening to the audiobook was just brilliant. I feel like that is the perfect way to take in this kind of literary fiction book, which can be sometimes like not the most gripping to sit and read, but listen to the audiobook, I really got to appreciate it and appreciate the language as well. So yeah, highly recommend, and especially the audiobook. This was a National Book Award finalist. I believe it's a US National Book Award finalist. This is actually a American, or North American I should say rather, because it's got the Canadian price on it as well, edition of this book. So yeah, lovely floppy pages, although as I say, I mostly listen to the audiobook, so yeah, that's how it goes. The title is sort of reflected in the book, so the first section, which is from the husband's point of view, is called Fates, and the second point, which is from the wife's point of view, is called Furies. If you have read this, please let me know, because I would love to discuss. So yeah, that's where I am at now in terms of read books. Currently reading. Yesterday I started The Unlikely Hero of Room 13B. This is a proof that Walker Books gave me in 2015. So I've had this 11 years and I'm just getting to it now. That's the state of my TBR. Is anybody shocked at this point? No. It is about a boy who's at a sort of support group for teenagers with OCD who kind of falls in love at first sight with a girl who joins the group. And there's some stuff going on with his mum as well. The way it's told is from his point of view. And it just sort of like shows us, I guess, the scenes which he as a character would find interesting. I think a lot of books do this, where it's very much like kind of drip feeding us information because it's so tightly tied to his point of view. So yeah, it's kind of difficult to say what's happening exactly and what's going on and even how much I'm enjoying it at this point because I'm so early on. But yeah, it's promising and I'm hoping that I will finish it and that will be another one off the list. I'm like, I shouldn't be afraid to DNF, but at the same time, it will be better if I finish the books right now because it will get me onto that, those last few that I need to read to complete the 50. I am in audiobook listening to Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. This is, yeah, a winner of the Pulitzer Prize. I've never read any of her books before, but this one became a big hit last year. It was shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction. I think it was last year. I remember like a lot of people talking about it last year. I'm just going to double check. This paperback edition published in 2023. Maybe I just saw a lot of people reading it last year for some reason. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, 2023 this came out. But I only really remember becoming aware of it last year. I'm pretty sure I picked up this copy of it last year. But hey, anyway, irrelevant. It is a sort of retelling of David Copperfield, I think. But it's set in America and quite contemporary. And yeah, I'm quite early on, like the main character is still a child, so yeah, I'm hoping that I will continue to enjoy it. The narrator is fabulous, like the kind of accent that he has or does for the character just really suits the way this is written, so yeah, enjoying that a lot, hoping to carry on. So there we go, that is my update. I will hopefully film another one soon. Alright, it's time to do my final update for March. I think I should never ever say this month I'm definitely going to vlog through it, I'm going to put loads of effort into it, because as soon as I say that, it's like I have cursed the whole enterprise. I seem to then inevitably get a cold, which is exactly what happened in March. Yeah, I did read lots though, so I do have plenty to talk to you about in this final update. So the first thing I did next is I finished reading Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I don't think I'll be carrying on with this series. I enjoyed some of the stories well enough, but it didn't really grab me. There was something about the style of the writing which I just didn't get on with, so I will be happily passing this one on to a new home, and I'm free. I don't have to read the other books in the series. That's a good thing. I then listened to Belladonna by Adalyn Grace, which I had meant to read basically because I had some items from Illumicrates where I hadn't read the books that they were referencing, and I felt like I needed to read the books in order to decide whether to keep those items or not. And I've made a list of all the books which fall into this category, and Belladonna was one of them. So it is about a girl who has the ability to see death, so she can see death, who is like a kind of corporeal entity, but only she can see him, so she knows when someone is about to die because he'll be there. And unfortunately her parents died when she was a baby, and then throughout her life all the relatives that she's gone to stay with have died, and she's seen death, and so she thinks that he is like tormenting her. Anyway, her latest relative dies, and she goes to live with some other ones, and she's determined that this time they're not going to die, and they're, you know, everything's going to be different. But of course it is not, and you find out kind of what's going on with her and her powers. It was an interesting idea, and I enjoyed it. Then I listened to Safekeep, which is a literary fiction novel set in the Netherlands in the aftermath of the Second World War. It's about a woman who lives in her kind of family home by herself in the countryside. She's very, very attached to this home and her life in it. There is a troubling matter that she is not due to inherit it. It's supposed to go to her brother when her uncle passes away, but nevertheless, she sees it as hers and she wants it to be hers. My neighbour has just started talking really loudly. I hope you can't hear. Anyway, one of her brothers, the one who is supposed to be inheriting the house, gets a new girlfriend who kind of invites herself to stay there at the house, or like persuades her brother that she should stay there at the house while he is away on a work trip. So our sort of main character ends up with a sort of unwilling housemate, or she's unwilling to have this housemate rather, and a interesting and unique relationship develops from there. Though it's also something revealed at the end. So I read this at book club and I had kind of guessed, like, I'd say fairly early on what was going on with the plot, but a lot of people in the book club didn't. It's one of these sort of ambiguous twist situations where I think it's equally pleasurable to read this book if you have worked out what the twist is early, because I still enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, so yeah, I would recommend it. It was a great one to discuss at book club. We pretty much spent almost the entire session actually talking about the book and matters related to the book, whereas some sessions we've talked about the book for like a little while and then we've gone off into all kinds of tangents, but this one was actually quite focused on the book, which was nice. Then I finished The Unlikely Hero of Room 13B. I did really enjoy this. It was a fun, I guess I would say like more for maybe younger or mid-teens and older teens. YA book. It was a really interesting story and I liked seeing how everything played out and everything developed. It went in some directions that I wasn't expecting at the time. There was a sort of twist to this which I did not see coming, despite having got the other twist in the previous book. So yeah, I recommend this if you like reading YA or you have a teenager in your life who is interested in mental health or psychology subjects. Then I read the latest publication from the Pound Project. I've talked about the Pound Project before. They are a small press that do these like little volumes by an author. They're usually, I believe they're all published for a limited period of time. So you basically have to sign up for the pre-order campaign in order to get a copy, and then after that they're gone. Sometimes they bring them back at Christmas, so you can order some books that have kind of come out over the previous year for yourself or to give as gifts. But I got these at their first printing. So these are basically, there's a manifesto and then there's sort of like a kind of path forward type of book all around the themed around the author's kind of declaration that she doesn't want a job. Like she wants to do her creative work and not have to do another job in order to live. And I found this quite like a challenging idea because I have in my past like actively enjoyed work. So like I'm not someone who necessarily doesn't want a job, but I also want to spend more time and energy on creative work. So I thought this would be a really interesting one for me to read, and I did enjoy it immensely, and it will be one I revisit in the future, I'm sure. Then I read a winter book by Tove Jansson. So this is the same author who wrote the Moomings. This is a short story collection. So this is pulled from several different collections, and I think a whole bunch of the stories are from one particular collection and then there's some from others, and they're not all like still in print available in English, so it was quite interesting to sort of read like the backgrounds to this particular edition and the stories being selected. So it's got a introduction by Ali Smith, who is an author who I've read a few of her books before, so it was quite interesting like that being included. And there's also an afterword where like some other authors like Philip Pullman, Esther Freud and Frank Cottrell Boyce just sort of comment on these stories. I don't think the afterword adds that much, to be honest. They're all just like one paragraph each. But the introduction is really good, and I actually read the introduction before I read the stories. It's not too spoilery. If I'd like encountered a spoiler, I would have stopped reading the introduction at that and then waited until I'd read the stories. But I actually read it before, reading the stories, and then afterwards I went back and reread it so that I could kind of like have my own response to what Annie Smith said about the stories. So that was a really interesting way to read these. And most of them are kind of set more or less in the author's childhood. There are a lot of autobiographical stories in this, and the island where she spent her summers features quite heavily, and they were just sort of very short snippets of life. It was a really quick read because it is only 208 pages, and the stories themselves are only a couple of pages long in most cases. There is one story which is longer, and I did read them out of order because I didn't have the time to read the long story at the point where I got to it. So I kind of skipped ahead and read some of the shorter ones, then went back and read that longer one, and then a couple of the other stories which were a bit longer as well. So yeah, I did end up reading it out of order, but that was just what suited my time. I was like, I want to read this, and I want to read the really short stories at the moment, so I'll come back and read those like a couple of days later when it's easier for me to kind of fit it into my schedule. But yeah, I enjoyed this a lot. I've not read anything by this author before, not even the Moomins. So it's possibly an unusual place to start. I have the Summer Book and The True Deceiver, which are two novels by this author, on my TBR at the moment. I've picked them up actually quite recently. I think I picked one of them up at Christmas and one of them a few weeks ago, I think. Or did I get this at Christmas? I can't remember. The Summer Book and A Winter Book have really similar covers in the editions that I've got of them. So yeah, so does The True Deceiver, I think, actually. But hey, yeah. Anyway, I enjoyed these. I'm looking forward to read those others. That's really all I have to say about that. Then I read Dogman Big Jim Believes, which is the most recent of the Dogman books, but I am not counting this. Basically, I read this because it was like good thing to do as part of my partner's birthday celebrations. It came in through the library and we decided to read it, and I had already maxed out my reward books for this 50 books. So I decided I was gonna read it and not count it as a reward book as my reward for reading getting to the end of the last 50 books rather, even though I hadn't done it yet. But I was only a couple of books away. So yeah, I figured that was okay. I would let myself off the hook. I was trying really, really hard to get to the end of those 50 books this month. I will not tell you about those two books that ended my 50 because I am going to feature those in the next video, because that's when I finish not the next video but the one after, the update, because my next video of course is going to be a rule change, because I did get to the end of those 50 books but on the 1st of April, not at the end of March. So yeah, I'm going to talk about those in my April vlog rather than this one. Anyway, back to this month. I still had two more books to talk about. This might be slightly shooting. Towards the end of March, I went to 2 exhibitions, which were really interesting. One of them was Yes I Am, No You're Not, by Rosie Barnes, which is an exhibition of photographs and pieces of writing by autistic women, and that was on in London recently, and I went to see it. I really enjoyed the exhibition, and I had also looked at quite a lot of them on the website beforehand. I think not all of the images which are on the website and that are featured in this book were at the exhibition, because when I read the book afterwards, there were a couple of things which I remember were not in the exhibition, but I enjoyed it on the desk. And there is a decent amount of writing in this, to be fair, because every photograph has a bit of writing in it. There's also a note from the author in there as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then the other one was Melissa Scott Miller on Plein Air, which is a book of oil paintings of London parks and gardens. My favourites are the views of back gardens in this. So I got this because I went to see the London Parks and Gardens exhibition by this artist at the Garden Museum on its last day. And I really, really like the paintings, but there were no prints and I could not afford the paintings. Nobody had the space for them. Like a £3,000 painting was like a small one, and then like the big ones were like £12,000. And yeah, I don't have the spare cash or the wall space for such beautiful paintings as these, but there was a book. So I got that so I can enjoy looking back at these lovely paintings. And it's really nice because it talks about her process and how she paints them. There's also some photographs of the author actually painting outside. There's a sort of interview conversation bit at the start. So a decent amount of writing. I would say less writing than in the other exhibition catalogue, but so often I buy my exhibition catalogue and it's just sat on my shelf and I've not got around to looking at it yet. So it was really nice that I got around to reading them in short order after actually going to these exhibitions, because now they can go on my shelves and I can revisit them, but they are not like a to-do list item for me. Alright, time for the tally. So this one is actually really nice and simple. I read 6 library audiobooks in March. Yeah, I was just really, really into audiobooks. What can I say? That was how I did my rewards. There we go. And I read 10 books from my TBR. I acquired 6 books, and now that means that my current total is 764. I feel like I am chipping away, but a little slower than I'd like. So I'm really going to work on improving that book resisting muscle and not acquiring any more books other than my Illumicrate subscription for the foreseeable future, because yeah, I want to get some down. I feel like this month, because I did buy the 2 exhibition catalogues, that I don't feel too bad about it because I did read those right away. So they haven't lingered on my TBR, they haven't become a kind of ongoing issue. I believe I also picked up For the Coffee Gets Cold this month, so that has also been read quickly as well. So there we go. I don't feel too bad. So there we are. That is all of the books that I read and my update for this month. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments if you've read any of these and what you think of them, if you have any recommendations for me, and you will see me again soon. Bye!